Everybody is asking the wrong question. Is Claude Code better than Codex? Should I leave Cursor? Is Hermes the new everything agent? Can Paperclip run an entire company? But those products do not all compete in the same arena. One lives in your terminal, one lives inside your editor, one works across documents and browsers. Another sits above other agents and tries to coordinate the whole operation. So a single ranking is not just unhelpful, it is structurally wrong. In the next 9 minutes, I'll give you a practical map of Hermes, Pi, Claude Code, Codex, Cowork, Copilot, Paperclip, Cursor, and Google Antigravity, and a 3-question test for choosing the right one. This is InfratechtonAI-Agent, practical agent infrastructure, without the hype. First, what is a harness? Anthropic uses agent harness, or scaffold, for the software around a model that processes inputs, orchestrates tool calls, and returns results. In plain English, the model may be the brain, but the harness decides what it can see, what it can touch, how long it keeps working, when it asks permission, and what evidence it gives you afterwards. That is why the same model can feel completely different in two products. For this comparison, I'm grouping the tools by their primary work surface and control boundary. This is my editorial map, not an official industry standard. Start with Pi, because Pi makes the word harness unusually literal. Its official project calls it a minimal terminal coding harness. Out of the box, the agent gets 4 core tools: read, write, edit, and bash. It supports multiple model providers, but deliberately leaves out built-in plan mode and subagents. The point is not to predict every workflow. The point is to give experienced developers a compact system they can extend with TypeScript. That makes Pi attractive if you want to own the machinery, your context strategy, your tools, your interface, your rules. The trade-off is equally clear. Pi's documentation says it has no built-in permission system. By default, it runs with the permissions of the process that launched it. If you need isolation, you add Docker, a micro VM, or another external boundary. Choose Pi when you want the smallest hackable terminal harness and you are comfortable engineering the safety and workflow layers yourself. Claude Code and Codex are more opinionated coding systems. Claude Code spans terminal, IDE, desktop, and browser workflows. It combines project instructions, skills, hooks, MACP integrations, custom agents, and agent teams with enforced allow, ask, and deny rules. Local sandboxing can restrict file system rights and network access. Cloud sessions use isolated managed machine. Its advantage is coherence. If your team already thinks in Claude projects, Claude files, hooks, and permission policies, the whole system feels joined up. Codex follows a similar multi-surface pattern, but with OpenAI's ecosystem. Its open source CLI works locally, the IDE keeps diffs beside your source, cloud tasks can run in parallel and hand back reviewable changes. OpenAI documents an operating system enforced workspace sandbox for local work, with command network access off by default. That default is a meaningful systems difference. A prompt saying, "Please be careful," is not the same thing as a file system or container boundary. Choose Claude Code when you want a polished Claude-centered coding environment with deep workflow customization. Choose Codex when you want an OpenAI-centered local coding loop with strong workspace isolation and a direct path to parallel cloud delegation. Neither wins universally. Your model, repository, permissions, retries, and verification process can change the result. Cursor and Google Antigravity make the editor the command center. Cursor combines a synchronous local agent with asynchronous cloud agents. The local experience can search code, and the web, edit files, run terminal commands, and use a browser while you redirect it in real time. Cloud agents clone a repository, work on a separate branch, and return changes for review. Cursor's strength is flow. The code, diff, terminal, browser, rules, skills, MACP tools, and checkpoints are all close to the developer's hands, but environment quality matters. An agent that cannot run your tests, reach the right services, or reproduce your build cannot close the loop no matter how good the model is. Antigravity is Google's agent-first development platform with an IDE, CLI, and SDK. In the IDE, its agent can operate across editor, terminal, and browser, then return higher-level artifacts such as plans, screenshots, recordings, diffs, and verification results. Its permission model uses deny, ask, and allow rules. Active workspace edits are normally allowed, while broader actions can require approval. Choose Cursor when you want the mature editor agent experience and fast human steering. Choose Antigravity IDE when you want an agent-first Google development environment with browser work and task-level evidence as central review surfaces. GitHub Copilot is a product family, so we need to be precise. The comparable unit here is Copilot's Cloud Agent. You delegate a bounded repository task. It works in an ephemeral GitHub Actions-powered environment, changes one branch, and returns the work through commits and a pull request. That makes the not a chat transcript, the main review surface. This is a strong fit for GitHub-hosted teams with well-scoped backlog work, tests, documentation, incremental fixes, technical debt, or small features. It is less appropriate as a universal computer agent, because that is not the job it is designed to do. Choose Copilot Cloud Agent when your operational center is GitHub and you want background work to arrive through existing branch protection and review practices. Claude Cowork and Hermes sit outside a narrow coding agent shootout, but for different reasons. Cowork is Anthropic's general-purpose knowledge work agent. You delegate a complete task across approved files, connected tools, and browser work, review the plan, then inspect documents, decks, spreadsheets, research, or other finished artifacts. If the job is primarily coding, compare Claude Code. If the job is broader business production, Cowork is the relevant product. Hermes goes broader in another direction. It is an open-source, provider-agnostic, general agent that can persist across terminal, desktop, messaging, IDE, scheduled, and remote infrastructure workflows. Its differentiators include cross-session memory, reusable skills, MacP tools, delegation, cron-style automation, and multiple local, container, shush, and cloud execution backends. That breadth is powerful, but configuration matters. Hermes' own security documentation distinguishes command guardrails from true isolation. If you run locally, the boundary is your host. If you choose Docker or another isolated backend, the boundary changes. Choose Cowork when the deliverable is knowledge work across business artifacts and connected tools. Choose Hermes when you want a persistent, model flexible agent operating across coding, messaging, automation, and infrastructure, not only inside one repository. Now, the category mistake that generates the biggest headlines, Paperclip. Paperclip is not primarily another coding agent. Its official project explicitly says it is not an agent framework and not a single agent tool. It is an open-source orchestration layer for teams of agents. You bring agents such as Claude Code, Codex, shell processes, or webhook bots. Paperclip adds goals, task assignment, organizational structure, schedules, budgets, approvals, heartbeats, and audit trails around them. That explains why opinions split so sharply. To one creator, it looks like hiring a team of agents. To another, it looks like unnecessary framework theater. Both reactions make more sense once you realize they are judging an orchestration layer, not a better autocomplete box. Choose Paperclip when you already have useful agents and now need to coordinate, govern, budget, and observe them as a system. Here is the fastest way to choose. Question 1. Where should the agent live? In a terminal, start with Pi, Claude Code, or Codex CLI. Inside the editor, compare Cursor and Antigravity IDE. In GitHub's background workflow, use Copilot Cloud Agent. Across business artifacts, look at Cowork. Across channels and automation, look at Hermes. Above multiple agents, look at Paperclip. Question 2. How much machinery do you want to own? Pi gives you a small core and expects you to build. Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, and Antigravity give you a more integrated system. Hermes gives you broad control with more operational surface area. Cowork hides more infrastructure behind delegated tasks. Paperclip assumes orchestration itself is now your problem. Question 3. What is the real review boundary? Is it a diff, a pull request, a finished document, a command approval, a sandbox boundary, a trace, or an audit trail across several agents? If you cannot answer that, you are not selecting a harness. You are selecting a demo. One final distinction matters more than another feature table. Memory stores durable facts, who you are, your preferences, project conventions, and lessons worth carrying forward. A skill stores a repeatable procedure, the steps, tools, templates, and verification for doing a job well again. Tools let the agent act. Permissions and isolation decide where that action must stop. Scheduled jobs move useful work from reactive chat into proactive delivery. Subagents split cleanly separable work, profile separate roles, context, tools, and behavior instead of forcing one generic agent to do everything. These concepts are product independent. Every serious harness implements some version of them or leaves you to build them. This is where Hermes becomes more interesting than a feature list. It combines curated memory, reusable skills, tools, permission controls, scheduled jobs, subagents, and specialist profiles across terminal, desktop messaging, IDE, and remote execution. The individual features are not the point. The compounding loop is complete one useful workflow, preserve what should be remembered, turn the repeatable method into a skill, schedule the recurring work, delegate the parallel parts, and isolate specialist roles into profiles. That is how a chat interface starts becoming an operating layer. My recommendation is simple. Begin with the work surface, the control boundary, and the evidence you need back, not the loudest product launch. In the next video, I'll take one real task and show how to evaluate these systems without laundering model upgrades, extra retries, or larger budgets into a fake best agent result. Subscribe to InfratechtonAI-Agent if you want agent infrastructure, comparisons, and build-alongs that survive contact with production.